Domain is all the possible input values. Input values are your x values. Range of a function is all of the output values, so your y values. So domain and range. The way you could remember it is, so think of the alphabet. D comes before R, I comes before O, X comes before Y. So domain goes with the I and the X, range goes with O and Y. If we're finding domain and range from just like a list of points or from a graph or from a table where it's just a set of random points, then we just have to list out the numbers that we see. So we put D stands for domain, R stands for range, and then we use these like squiggly brackets, and then we list the numbers inside of the brackets. Domain is the inputs, so the x values, and points are all the first numbers. Nope, that's wrong. First ones. So let's figure out these. I'll give you the first two. -2, -1. And I like to cross off as I go. That way I keep them all, or I make sure I do them all. What's the next one?
0.
0. And
1.
Close the brackets. Good luck with drawing the brackets. I know they're kind of difficult. Range is your y values. So I see, let's see. Well, what are my y values, guys? And 0. Okay. We want to try and list them from smallest to largest. So we're going to put 0 first. And then we'll put 2. Now, here's the thing. Do not list 2 3 times. Let me give you like an example. A real situation. Hopefully this makes sense to you. Say like you're out of bread and your mom is like, hey, I need you to go to the store, go walk to Price Chopper and get some bread. Maybe you live close to Price Chopper, I do. So you go walk to Price Chopper to buy some bread, and then you buy the bread and you come back home and you're like, hey mom, I got a slice of bread, a slice of bread, a slice of bread, a slice of bread, and you say that like 15 more times, and she's going to be like, why are you saying that? Can't you just say, I got what?
A loaf.
A loaf of bread. Do you really need to say, there's a 2, there's a 2, there's a 2?
No.
Say it once.
What?
You don't need to say you got 20 slices of bread. Just say you have a 2. Say it one time. That's enough. We don't need to be redundant, right? So just say 2 and you're done. I understand there's 3 2s, but you only need to list it once. So next one we want domain range. Domain is the x values, range is the y values. Let's try and put it in numerical order. So smallest number to greatest number. So look at your x values. What's your smallest x value, guys? 4. Okay. 4 is listed twice. Should I write it down twice?
No.
No. One time is enough. We get your point, right? And then 4, next number? 5. Let's cross that out as we go. Then 6. Then 8. Our range is our y values. What's our smallest y value?
0.
0. Let's cross it out. Next one.
2.
Then
3.
Then
4.
4. Then 7. Yeah, that's it. Domain, range. I'm gonna pick on someone.
Pick on me.
Aaron, what's my domain? Yeah, thank you for not repeating 0, right? Because it's listed twice, but we don't need to say it twice. Neat. Reagan, what's my outputs or my range?
3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
There you go.
On point.
So domain. Julio, what's the domain? Yep. What else?
3.
Uh-huh. Yeah. Range. Lauren, what's my range?
Your outputs.
Yep. So what are the outputs for this one?
4 and 15.
Done. So we're just listing the points and then saying what the x and y values are. We're going to spend most of our time finding domain and range from a graph in this class. So read this with me. Domain is left to right. We read the y-axis from bottom to the top. That will be our range because that's y values for the y-axis. Arrows mean that the graph goes forever in that direction. Open and closed circles mean the same thing they do on a number line. So remember, closed means less than or equal to, or greater than or equal to. Open, less than or greater than. What I want to know is what's the domain and range. So here's my strategy for you. If you have ones like this where it's just random points, write out the points first, and then figure out your domain and range. So we're going to write the points. I'm going to start with, hold on, Kyle. I'm going to start with this one. It goes left 3 and down 2. So Kyle, what's the point?
-2, -2.
Negative 3.
-3, -2.
There you go.
My bad. Yeah, Kyle.
And then the next one. So right here, that goes left 1 and then it stops. So can someone raise your hand and tell me what point is that?
Negative.
Lily?
-1, 0.
-1, 0.
Yeah.
Third one. What's that, guys? Right 1 up to 1, 2.
1, 2.
And the last one is, go ahead.
1, 4.
3, 4.
3, 4.
Horizontal first, vertical second.
Yeah.
And now, since we have the points written out, we can go ahead and write the domain and range. Domain, Luke, what's my domain?
2.
The first one.
Yes, so domain is my x values.
Yep. It'd be 3,
3.
-1,
Uh-huh.
+1.
Yep.
And 3.
There we go.
Thanks.
That's what I was thinking.
And my range, Maddie, what's my range?
-2, 0, 2, and 4.
Yeah, so I'm just taking that straight from the points we just wrote. So numbers 18, 19, 21, and 22 are all what we call continuous functions, where it's not just random points plotted, there's a line drawn between them. Like whether it's crooked or straight or curved, there's a line drawn between them. And so we cannot just list these out as points. We have to use inequalities to represent it. So here's what I need you to do. When one's like this, you're going to draw a box around, that's not a good box, a box around, so as far to the left as it goes, far to the right, the lowest it goes, and the highest it goes. So draw a box like I have. Let's make sure it's super obvious. These are closed circles. Make sure you see that. Domain goes from the left to the right because it's the x values, and the x-axis is horizontal. So domain, left to right. Range, bottom, up. So lowest point to highest point for the range. And we write these as inequalities. So my domain, we have to figure out what's the farthest to the left that it goes. So look at your graph. Look at this rectangle you just drew. How far left is this? What is this spot right here? That'd be -2. So my domain starts at -2. Now, we have to use inequalities. This is a closed circle, so is it going to be less than or equal to? Be less than or equal to. No brackets, we're using inequalities because it's continuous. This is domain, so the x goes in the middle. What we're doing is we're writing compound inequalities. I told you guys we were not done.
And wouldn't that be -1?
And now let's look and see. So the domain goes from the left all the way to the right. What's the farthest it goes to the right?
3.
3. So x goes from -2 to 3. Does it include 3?
Yes.
closed circle. So less than or equal to. If you remember when we talked about compound inequalities, you want the alligator, his mouth facing that way, to the right. So you're going to have less than signs every time. Except sometimes you might have less than or equal to. That's the only difference.
How do you know when you're going to have less than or equal?
So let's do range. So again, figure out where it starts. The lowest point it starts at, where is this? What's the lowest?
-1.
Okay, so the range starts at -1. And the highest it goes, you're looking at the y-axis, 2. So the range goes from, again, closed circle, so -1 is less than or equal to y is less than or equal to +2. Let's go ahead and draw the box still, just so we can see where the domain starts. Ugh. Yeah. And what do we notice is different about this one?
It is going both 2 directions.
Doesn't have points. What's it have instead of points?
Arrows.
Arrows, which means that it goes forever in that direction. So like it would actually keep going and keep going. You don't have to draw that in, but I just want you to see it, right? So that's what the arrows mean. It actually goes beyond what the graph can show you. So that's not going to keep inside of that box. We're going to use the box to help us though. So domain. Teresa, where does it start on the left-hand side? So look at the box. It starts right here. What number is that? 1. So it starts at 1. And I know that this isn't a point here, but since it crosses that spot, that is a less than or equal to type of thing. So it's going to be less than or equal to x, because if it crosses, it's like a closed circle. There's a point there. Where does it stop to the right?
6.
It does not stop at 6. Look at the arrows.
It goes
It's going to keep going forever and ever and ever, all the way to the right. So bottom right keeps going, top right keeps going, and so
Is it less than or equal to?
this is your answer.
Ooh.
You stop there. You could also write it as x is greater than or equal to 1. So either one of these, choose what you like better. But it goes to infinity, and so it doesn't have a limit on the right. Let's look at the range. Where does the range start? Does it start at 0?
No.
There's arrows. There's arrows. The range doesn't start anywhere.
So don't have
The range goes forever. In both directions, right? It's going to keep going as far as it can down. It's going to keep going forever up. And so what we actually say is all real numbers. We use that weird R to symbolize that, but you could also just write it out. All real numbers. Because it goes forever in both directions, down and up.
So I have a question.
So we're looking at 22. We're not doing all the ones on this paper. Draw that box. Make sure, so it's kind of bad printing, but these are open circles. So we need to figure out domain and range. Remember, domain, left to right, range, bottom to the top. Because domain is x, range is y. Mo, where does the range start? What's the farthest to the left that it goes? Yep. And so let me point this out. So everything in between, we do not care about. If there's other points in between, we don't care about them. We only care about the one that's farthest. So 2, it'll be open, so it's open circle. So less than or equal?
It's less than.
Less than x. Domain is x. And then what's the farthest to the right it goes? Caden and C. So less than 7. It's an open circle over there as well. So look where the range starts. Brennan, what's the lowest the range goes? Look at the y-axis.
Which one's the 1?
Okay, positive 1. And it's open, so less than y. Less than Ryan Jensen, what's the highest it goes? Ryan?
6.
Yeah. So that's your range.